Exactly.
Hello, everyone. Wow, it's such a big couch.
It is, right?
I'm like, I
I mean,
don't.
like, the three of you squeezed in at the opening, but
I just don't know how to sit. It's like there's so much space.
you have half an hour to try out everything and then decide at the end.
I'm just gonna try and sit like a normal human, which I don't think I can do. Hi, everyone.
So they've been waiting for you, and I just invited them. If they have questions, they can get their questions in.
Fantastic.
So they'll probably line up. I just want to ask you, like, before we get to the closing ceremony, and I have all of you on stage. How's your weekend been so far here?
Oh man, my weekend has been so lovely. It's always, anytime I'm around the Shadow fam, it's like just being embraced in a warm hug. It truly is, and I tell people this and no one believes it until they actually see it. Um, just the warmth and the love that just exudes from each and every one of you is the biggest gift. We come from all over the world and all different walks of life and all different industries and all different everything. And all because we love this one story, but moreover because now we're all members of this community that you've created. And it's just such a special place. There's so few communities and so few places in this world, particularly on social media, that are nothing but love and light and positivity, and that is the Shadow Fam. I just watching you for so many years have so much respect for each other and so much love and care and support within all of you. It's been the biggest gift for me to be, a very small part of that. So thank you for welcoming me into this fandom, and thank you for being the beautiful community that you are.
Thanks so much for those words, right? And we're really happy to have you here. So let's get into some audience questions because they're already lined up. Welcome. So fully dressed in cosplay.
It's cosplay. Hello.
Hi. I have a question. Did you have a moment when you played Clary where you just thought, why Clary did you do that?
Oh, so often. I used to get asked a lot, what advice would you give to your character? And I always used to say, and I thought this would change moving forward in the seasons, but it never did. I always used to say, I wish she would just slow down and take a deep breath and maybe listen to the people that know just a little bit more than her, and at least consider it. At least take it into consideration. Whether it's Luke or Jace or anybody, even Simon, who doesn't know much about the Shadow World, but he's got good ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Where's your sword, by the way? You also had. Oh, there it is. Exactly.
Yes, she made it.
Yeah, yourself. Wow.
Isn't that so cool?
That's amazing. Like,
Y'all are talented.
I don't even know where to start, like building something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
Amazing.
I don't know. It's amazing.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, my question for you is when you can make one last episode of Shadowhunters, if you would place wedding or parapatal ritual with Izzy.
I think a place wedding would be way fun. Mostly because we've been asked the question of what would it be, and I've had a lot of ideas since then, and plus it's an excuse for everybody to be there. It would be one of those big parties where we'd have the entire cast there, and that would be the way to do it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I touched upon this subject yesterday when we said, like, a lot of shows nowadays don't get a chance to conclude because they keep going on until it, isn't renewed for a new season, which was about to happen to Shadowhunters, but then you got the 2 extra episodes that you got to shoot, which is fantastic, but at the same time, you know that it's going to end. What was that like, those last days on set? Was it like bittersweet working towards that ending, or?
It was, but I think too, because we had largely the same crew for all of our time as well, and so everyone felt a little bit of ownership over building the world together. And there was a lot of pride in that for all of us, because it was the most beautiful set I've ever been on, where we really did share resources, and everyone really did put ego aside and was just working together to build the world and the story and to make each other better. And in every department, and so it was neat to knowing that there wouldn't be, network notes or studio notes or things coming in from up above, really, to see people be truly creative and, go, well, we've never done this before, and now we get to pull out all the stops, so let's just do it. and let's give the show the proper send off and really go full out in every aspect. And it made it really beautiful and really exciting to see how creative everyone was, but also there's not much acting when I'm crying in those episodes. No. In fact, the very, very last scene we shot was when Clary and Jace are dancing, and then she walks away and says goodbye for the last time. And so I'm just, it's just terrible. Terrible, ugly crying, snot everywhere. And the hair and makeup just gave up. They tried. They're like, I'm sorry, we can't, here's a tissue.
But I mean, it's a great way to finish up and have that closure. So thank you for
We
sharing.
were very grateful, and it even came down to freeform in the end, because we were over time by almost 30 minutes. And normally if that happens, they will make you cut scenes and chunks and chunks of the show, and they didn't do that. They gave us an extra half an hour. They took advertising time out of their schedule, and they gave us extra time so that we could air it in full. So everybody really did their part in the end.
Hi, welcome.
Hi, nice to see you again. If you had the chance to meet any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
To meet, you mean?
Any celebrity, dead
Yeah.
or alive, so dead or alive.
Yeah, so, okay.
That's a really tough question. If I... Oh, this is so tough. If I had to choose, it would probably either be Audrey Hepburn or Sydney Lumet. Just because I grew up watching Audrey Hepburn, I think she's glorious, and I just want to be in her presence for however long I could. And Sydney Lumet wrote a beautiful book on directing, and I'm going to be directing very soon. And his book was the first book I read on directing. It's called Making Movies, but it's such a beautiful book about making movies, because you can tell from the minute one it's told by a storyteller. It's not a director, it's not somebody who, a famous person who made movies. It's a storyteller sharing his love and his passion for making movies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
So I have a question because I was recently listening to your podcast, which is amazing by the way, and I also saw you put music on Spotify.
Yeah.
A few things, and is there any new project, any colors?
That you can talk about?
I get asked about this new music thing all the time, and yes, it is coming. I found a few songs on my computer the other day that I completely forgot I even had, but they're like 10 years old now, so those might never see the light of day. But I have a friend who's been bugging me for a long time to come and do an EP with him and get bigger, because he's an incredible songwriter and producer and things. So yes, it's coming. I just have to find time.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to tell you that I love you very much. You're the best person in the world for me. And my question is, what do you think about the Mortal Instruments books?
Thank you. First of all, you're very kind. And I love the books. I read all 6 of them while we were shooting the first season. And I just fell in love with the world and the story and the whole mythology that Cassie created. It's just so beautiful. And I love the message behind it as well. That it doesn't matter what blood runs in your veins. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you're born as. It's your choices that determine whether you're a hero or a villain, whether you're good or evil, and whether, the clave, all shadowhunters aren't purely good, and all angels aren't purely good, and all demons aren't purely bad. Everyone's on a scale somewhere in between, and it's all determined by the choices that you make every day.
Thanks.
Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
So Kat, since you're such a workaholic and always doing so many things all at once, like I'm so blown away that you're doing all these series and music and the podcast and everything. I'm wondering what keeps you moving every day, like what gets you out of bed, like what is your motivation, and do you ever take breaks and like, yeah, this is it, I need a break.
So basically, how do you do it?
I don't sleep much. I'm one of those strange people that has never needed or been able to sleep much. And then caffeine and stubbornness go into it a lot. But on a more serious note, I think The things that I give time to are things that I love and things that I'm passionate about and things that really mean a lot to me. And I think if you're doing that, it's not hard to work hard. If you're doing something you love and something that you know it matters, at least to you. And that's what keeps driving me. And a lot of what keeps driving me is communities like this. You know, knowing that, you know, hopefully there's someone out there who wants to listen to the podcast, or who might be touched by the music, or who just, you know, wants to watch a story that I've told on screen. Those are the kind of things that keep me going. But yes, I do have people in my life that will literally sit me down and go, no, you're not going to do anything for a whole day. We're going to do other things instead. And I sort of begrudgingly say, okay, and then I'm very grateful for it in the end.
That's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, since you read all 6 books, I have a question about the ending, because in the series, in the TV series, there is a different person who loses their memories.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know what you think about this change.
I wasn't sure about it at first, if I'm completely honest, and I spent a lot of time talking to Todd Slatkin, our showrunner, one of our showrunners, about it, and just going, are we sure we want to do this? Because there's been a lot of, like, she's worked hard, and she's done so much, and just to take it all, why? But in the end, I think, even as devastating as that is, the actual ending, that last scene with Clary and Jace, and that line, it's the same line as in the pilot, that sort of mirrored scene. What it goes to prove is, you know, what I was talking about with the books just a second ago, but it takes it a step beyond, and what it says is that no matter, at least to me, everyone has their own interpretation of that ending. But it's, you know, despite any punishment from the angels, despite any spite from the clave, or any punishment that's been brought down, love will persist throughout anything. And it's Clary's love for Jace, Clary's love for the Shadow World, for those people in her community, for Simon, for Luke, for the Shadow World, for the community of downloaders, for everything that she builds, that persists through and that maintains that connection, maintains the site, maintains everything that she has, at least a little thread of it, enough for her to go, wait, I know you. There's something here. And so that even, you know, a punishment that's been delivered by the angels can't stop love. And I think that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
Hi.
simple question. What's your favorite cake?
My favorite cake? Oh, good lord. I have to really think, what is my favorite cake?
So what is yours to get us inspired?
Yeah.
What is
Mocha cake.
Mocha cake.
Wow, that's
I've never had mocha cake. Yeah. You know, I'm not 100% a cake person. But I know. I'm more like a cookie crumb. I'm a weird person. But if I had to pick one, my great-grandmother has this recipe for death by chocolate cake, we call it in our family. It's just this really, really dense chocolate sheet cake with a chocolate fudge icing. Truly, sometimes I just make the icing and call it fudge, and it works. But I love the nostalgia of that. I'm not a huge chocolate person, but that's like, I do love a good chocolate occasionally. Good chocolate in moderation is fabulous, but I'll take a death by chocolate cake occasionally.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Is that like your go-to comfort food as well, or?
No, my go-to comfort food is usually, what is my go-to comfort food?
Everybody has one, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Mine's usually like a baked potato, honestly. Like some kind of like any potato dish, mashed potatoes. That's usually my comfort. If I'm like, I need food that's gonna make me feel happy. Look at Irish.
We have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to ask a few questions that I have. But if you still have questions, you have just a few minutes left to get in and get your question in. I just remembered, I have one final giveaway for today. And since Katherine has a few minutes after her panel, you might be able to win a selfie or something. So if you have a real, but I challenge you, if you have a really good question, get up to the microphone and get it in.
Or
But in the
a really
meantime,
silly question, because I like those too.
okay, well,
Oh, I think we
silly
have
question.
one.
Okay.
Oh, we have two.
Oh wow. Okay. Before we get into you, I just want to circle back to what is always interesting. I am in this role as a moderator at Comic-Con, so most guests I talk about are familiar with the world of Comic-Con. But what a lot of visitors of Comic-Con don't realize that a lot of actors in Hollywood don't know that world because it's so to Shadowhunters, of course, Arrow. Those are the series that bring guests, so we're very happy to have you. But at the same time, you create so many characters that are role models to so many, I want to say like young girls, but basically every person that watches the show. And you get to meet so many people. What is that like for you as an actor, realizing that so many people look up to you in that role as well?
It's really humbling, and it's something that I do not feel as though I have the qualifications for, because I'm still trying to figure life out too. But as a young girl, I always looked for characters like Clary and characters like Mia, and not a lot of them existed. Like I had Mulan and Pocahontas, and that was kind of it growing up. But it worked for me. But and Princess Leia, of course, of course. What am I thinking? But other than those three, that was kind of it in media, a lot of it. And as right before I started Shadowhunters, there was kind of this resurgence of really empowered, complex, diverse female characters. And I was so proud to be a part of that. And particularly on Shadowhunters, I was so proud of our writers because every time they brought in a new female character in particular, she was empowered, she was distinct, she was strong, she had her own agency, she fought her own battles. But if you look at all of us, if you look at Clary, Maya, Isabel, Maris, any Cleophas, any of the women on the show, even Heidi, if you want to talk about bad guys, and Lilith, they're such different women. There's not one blueprint for what a strong, empowered woman can be, and they all fight their battles in their own way. They all have their own talents and weapons and gifts that they use, all of their own accord. And I just always was so proud to be a part of a show that celebrated that in that way, even without overtly stating it.
I mean, I love the fragility of it, of course, that a strong woman, but also vulnerable. You don't have to be perfect, and I think what Shadowhunters, but Arrow also, like the whole Arrowverse, I want to say, has brought for male role models as well. You don't have to be butch or masculine to be so. I applaud you for being such a great role model to so many people.
Thank you. Well, to your point, that's what I loved about Mia so much, is that she's like a turtle. She's hard as nails, and you can't break through that shell. But if you do, she's very soft, and she doesn't know how to deal with emotions very well. She's got a lot of family trauma.
That's fine. It's fine to be troubled.
Yeah, and she's okay. She figures it out.
Exactly.
Oh, we have
Hello.
so many questions. I love this. Hello.
Hello. My question is about Arrow. Had you learn shoot arrow or was fake?
So I was a Girl Scout growing up. So I had done a little bit of archery, and I definitely went to the Renaissance Fair every year. So I definitely did a lot of archery. But there was a woman that trained every single person who shot a bow on the show. She trained from Steven to all the way to me, and everyone in between. And she's what's known as a master archer. There's only a few in the world. And she was amazing, but very, very strict. And I was so grateful to have her because she taught me everything I needed to know. And I would basically run around her studio and she'd follow me around being like, nope, too slow, bang, you're dead, bang, I got you, bang, you're dead, okay. Fast. It like really pushed me hard to be able to, climb over a bench and do a somersault and go around a corner and come out of a somersault and shoot an arrow and do all these things. And always, because all of our arrows were CGI as well, because it's a bow's a long range weapon. And when there's a camera operator that's far from you, they're not gonna give an actor an actual arrow and let them actually shoot it. That's just not smart. So you're laughing, but it's true. So all of our arrows were CGI, and we would just dry fire the bow. So you have to train yourself to remember to reach for your quiver every time. Otherwise, where's your arrow coming from, kiddo? So it's a lot of that. But I would say my form is very good, but my aim is probably terrible because I've fired very few live arrows in my life.
Thank you so much.
It's a really long-winded answer. I'm realizing how long I've talked.
That's
I'm
fine.
so sorry, y'all. Hi.
Hi.
Happy birthday.
Again. Thank you so much. This is a rather deep question.
Okay.
As you're a role model to so many people, like you just stated out, I was wondering if you had any advice for people who are struggling with self-love and kind of struggle with themselves.
Yeah. I think with anything that you might be down about in life, whether it's self-love or anything else, if you find something, one even kernel of positivity, it tends to grow. I always look for the silver linings in any situation. But if you find one thing in your day that's funny or silly, or see a nice flower blooming on the road when you're on a walk, or you go outside and take a walk and you're like, wow, the weather's really great today. Or if you find one thing about yourself that you really enjoy, or something that you're really proud of, you're like, you know what, I'm really good at this. Or I think my hair is really nice. Or something, if you start thinking in that way, it reframes the way you start viewing everything. And it puts a different lens on your outlook. And then, the more you find those things, the more they will, the easier they will be to find. Might be hard at first, but the more you do, the easier it will be, and that tends to change over the long run.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Do you like Kit Kat chocolate?
I used to when I was a kid. I haven't had them in years, but I used to eat them all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So my question is, if there's anything that Clary said or did that's like still stuck with you and like teach you a lesson for life.
Yes, actually. And I say this about a lot of my characters, is they, for whatever reason, and I often didn't realize this until afterward, but they all taught me something. And I'm a true believer in all things happen for a reason. And each one of these characters came into my life at a time when I needed to learn something. And with Clary, she is so well-intentioned most of the time, really doesn't know what she's doing, and often falls flat on her face. But what Clary taught me is that it doesn't matter how many times you mess up. It doesn't matter how many times you fall on your face, even if you go down in a blaze of glory and embarrass yourself in front of everyone you know and love. It's about how you respond to that, and about whether or not you learn from that, and whether or not you pick yourself back up again and try again tomorrow. Try again to be better tomorrow. Try again to learn from those mistakes and grow from them, instead of bogging down in however you're feeling about making a mistake in the first place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I have another question. I was listening to the Return to the Shadows podcast when I was on my train here, and I think it was the episode with Glenn. He talked a lot about scenery and how like scenes are and always like a third person in the room that's the camera. And I was thinking like scenery is such a big part, but scenery together with music creates this big atmosphere that's so warm, but also like so badass or cold sometimes. So I'm wondering, like, what did you thought about the music in Shadowhunters? Did you thought it fits, or maybe just the track that stuck with you that they used in the show?
I loved the music they used in the show. It's really, I thought it really added to kind of the undercurrent of it. And there's even certain songs that you wouldn't even realize are in movies, because it's almost just a sound that it does something to your heart rate, or it puts you on edge because your mind is registering it and you're not. Oh, I'm so scared. Luke just got in line.
I think Luke's gonna win.
I think he is. Okay. Do you want to win a selfie, honey? But the one song that sticks with me, it's called 1995. It's the song that plays during the last scene where Claire and Jace are dancing, because Todd actually played that track while we were shooting it. And so I physically cannot listen to that song without breaking down in tears, because it it played every single take that we did it, and so it almost created like a Pavlovian response in my emotional psyche, which I'm not sure how healthy that is, but it just is.
That's so relatable, and I do that song all the time, and I cannot stop crying. But it's so good.
Thank you so much for your question. Thank you. Hi.
Hello again. I have a question because obviously the show.
Can you speak a little closer to the microphone, sorry?
Sure. Because most of the time Claire in the show is very, she's a good character. She always is kind of doing the right thing or tries to. And if you could play a villain in the show, or generally, what villain would you play? And do you think it would be more fun to play a villain sometimes? Because the actors always say it's so much fun.
It really is fun to play a villain. Sometimes it's challenging because you're going, when I did The Stand, for example, I'm going, this woman is so vile. I think she's disgusting, and I have to separate that from the job that I have to do. But my favorite character in Shadowhunters, and the villain that I always wanted to play, if I could ever play it, is the Jonathan Sebastian character. Because, I know, I'm getting to you, darling. Because I have never hated a character more in the books. I mean, when Sebastian's first introduced, or Jonathan, or whatever you want to call him, oh, I hated him so much. He's just vile and awful. But then when he dies, I fell in love with him, and I cried my eyes out, and I've never cried so much for a character that I hated. And then also, two of my favorite people in the world played him. I mean, Luke Baines and Will Tudor are just gems and brilliant actors, and two of my favoriteest, loveliest humans I have ever met. So I would pick Andy Starr.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hello.
What was your dream job as a child?
What is your favorite job growing up? Okay.
Oh, my favorite
Your
job
dream
as a
job.
child? I wanted to be an economist. I'm a big old nerd.
So weird.
I did.
Dream job to have as a
Yeah,
kid,
from
right?
the time I was 7, I wanted to be an economist. I love math, and when I found out that math could be used to explain these like giant world behaviors through economics, I thought it was really cool. And I asked my mom if I could balance the checkbook when I was 7 because it was fun.
Wow.
So that's the kind of nerd that I am.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Let's video the next question.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Hello, biggest fan?
Hi, I just, actually based on your question just now, about how you would have loved to have played Jonathan or Sebastian.
Yes.
What would you have improved upon? You know, if you could have picked one thing about the way that they were played, what would you improve upon? And then my follow-up question is, do you ever have trouble sleeping at night knowing that you killed one of the most beautiful people who ever existed?
How do you sleep at night?
Justice for demons, am I right?
Yeah.
And vampires.
I could have killed you, Raphael, and I didn't, so you can just sit down. Also, thanks for saving my best friend, you're really nice. To answer your question, there's nothing that could have been improved upon in either of those performances. I think they were brilliant, and no one could have done it better.
What about my accent in episode 2? And then also...
I don't remember your accent in episode 2. I thought it was fine.
Have your panel.
Your French accent?
Give it up for Luke Baines, everyone!
And to answer your follow-up question, no, I do not have trouble sleeping at night because you killed me in Untitled Horror Movie, so we're even. Thank you.
All right. Everyone, on that note, we're